Hey, good morning, Journey Church. Pastor Randy here. It is Friday. It's 11:30 a.m., and that means it's time for our Sunday preview. And this Sunday, we are wrapping up our study in the letter of James, a letter to a scattered church. And we're wrapping it up with the final word that James leaves with those believers, those Christians who are scattered all throughout the Roman Empire. And what is that word? What is the last thing that James wants to tell them? Pray. You know, I've struggled with prayer my whole life, and I was probably in my 40s before I realized, or at least acknowledged, that prayer actually does move God, and that prayer is such an important thing. I am still learning that, and I'm grateful for those in my life, some of you here at the Journey, who have consistently reminded me, hey, we need to pray. And so Sunday, we're going to look at that passage right at the end of James 5, James 5, 13 through 20. I encourage you to read that over the next couple of days. And then we're going to spend some time praying as well. And so I'm going to encourage you, as you are gathered at your own homes with your family, to participate in that in prayer with us. This is also the first Sunday of June, and so as we have made our habit here at the Journey, we will share communion. And once again, that's going to look a little bit different because we're not gathered in one location, but you can participate at home just as well. And so if you've not done that before, I encourage you to go onto our website, welcometothejourney.org/communion. There's a tab up at the top that you can just click on communion. And there are some hints there about how you can prepare not only your heart, but your home to participate in communion. So if you happen to go out over the next couple of days and want to pick up some grape juice, maybe some crackers or bread or something, that would be one way to prepare. But you can use anything you have at home. Use water, use wine if you have it, use some other juice if that's necessary. And just a piece of cracker or a piece of bread as we share together in celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, reflecting on what that did for us, what that has done, making our salvation possible, bringing us into a reconciled relationship with God. Reconciliation is such an important thing. It's an incredibly timely message. And earlier this week, I was down in Sonora, downtown, where there were some peaceful protests, and I was so grateful that those protests did remain peaceful, that people, even on opposite sides of the thought spectrum, literally on opposite sides of the street, while they were sort of chanting at each other, there was no denouncing of each side's views. It was just, we were one people coming at a problem from both angles. But this is a crisis time in our nation, not only because of coronavirus, but now particularly with these race relations and the ugly head of racism once again rearing up. And so what better time to pray than right now and right this weekend? So I encourage you to join us right here on Facebook Live at 10:30. You can also watch on our website or share with your friends who don't have Facebook that they can watch on our website at 10:30 on Sunday morning. Right on the front page of our website, they can follow along on the live stream. One other thing I want you to know about, our board met yesterday, and you are undoubtedly aware that our county and our state have given houses of worship, churches, the green light to gather again. And so our board met yesterday to discuss that and what that looks like for us going forward. And here's a brief overview of that plan. Right now, we're targeting the last Sunday of June, June 28th, as our grand regathering, if you will. And that will be the first day that we regather as a congregation here in person at the Journey Church. And there are some steps that we need to take to prepare for that. We're going to spread out the chairs. It's going to look a little bit different when you come back. but you don't, just be prepared for that. And so we'll give you more information, but we're looking at June 28th for that. If it's possible for us to make all of the preparations that are necessary to gather before that, there's a chance we will make the decision to regather earlier on the 21st, or possibly, don't hold your breath, possibly even as early as June 14th. And so pray as we go through those. Here's the response. If I could categorize the responses on our survey, thank you, first of all, to the 27 of you who participated online or by returning those by mail, actually 29. So thank you for participating in that. If I could summarize all of that in just one sentence, it would be this. The attitude of the folks of the Journey Church about regathering is eager but cautious. And I appreciate and I understand that. And we've got people across the spectrum, some who say, hey, let's go, we don't need precautions, anything like that. We've got those in our midst. And then we've got others who are saying, I'm not quite ready yet. And I'd love to gather, but I want to make sure everything is safe. And so we run the spectrum there, and that's great. That reflects the diversity. And I want you to know that wherever you are in that spectrum, and right in the middle somewhere, you are welcome and you are part of the Journey Church. And so we will not only move toward regathering on June 28th, but we will continue to live stream our services. We've been doing that since I got here a couple of years ago. There's not going to be significant change to that. We'll work on some of the interaction parts of that, what that will look like to engage back and forth online while we are also gathered here. But we will continue to be committed to both an online presence and an in-person gathering. Here's the reality. The heart of the Journey Church is to care not only for the spiritual health of our congregation, those who call the Journey Church home and gather with us regularly, but our heart is also to care for the spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, and social health of our congregation and our community. And so that broad spectrum commitment is what guides how we gather and when we gather and the decisions we make and what that looks like. And so I look forward to seeing you here, Facebook Live, on our website, on Sunday morning at 10:30 as we look into the final word from James. Pray. Thanks. God bless. We'll see you Sunday.